Here's my video on how to convert 357 SIG brass into beautiful 8mm Nambu pistol brass. I searched online and on YouTube and I was unable to find a video, so I hope this video can help you guys do the process of converting your own brass from 357 SIG to 8mm Nambu. Aren't they gorgeous? Searching online, these are the items that most forums recommended to use. The lube wax, a bullet plunger, 30-30 Winchester sizing die, and a bolt. I was having difficult running through the 357 brass through my Dillon press, and I was getting a lot of wrinkles on the brass, and I want to show you that. So let's see, there it is. See that little wrinkle on the brass? Because I was putting too much wax on the brass, and I replaced the wax with the spray, with a loose spray, left it overnight, and the next following day when I ran the brass through my Dillon 550B press, and I was able to eliminate all that wrinkle. But then there was another issue regarding putting a lot of stress on my Dillon press by using this bullet plunger. Because if you think the length, if you're trying to push the brass through, it creates a lot of pressures. It's a lot of length, a lot to press through. So what I did was I took that away and I started using these 4 nuts. And every time the bullet went through inside the brass went inside completely and it was flush, I was able to use this and press it down, and you will notice when I go through, and that helped to alleviate the pressure on my press, and that made it faster for me to process the brass. Let's go through the 5 steps you're going to need to reform your brass with a 357 SIG brass into 8mm Nambu. First, you need to run your brass through the 30-30 Winchester sizing die. After that, you need to do the following: run the reform brass to the 8mm sitting die. Now, this is important. The sitting die using the sitting die first, help to eliminate all those wrinkles in the brass. After I ran through the sitting die, I ran it through the sizing die, the 8mm sizing die, and that helped basically reform the brass faster. After the brass has been fully ran through all the sizing dies, the sitting die and then the sizing die, then we have to trim the brass, and finally we have to drill a larger hole on the for the primer, because once you run it through, it squeezes a little hole through, so it's recommended to draw a little bigger hole. All right, let's go to my Dillon press and I'll take you step by step. I'm using the Dillon 550B press. Step number 1 is taking out the side plate. I want the flat base to be used to push up the brass, and I'm going to install the 30-30 Winchester. All right. So let's go, making sure that this is all the way flush to the bottom. I want it to hit as much as I can until it touches the base, which it does. Perfect, perfect. So that's the first thing we want to do. All right, first step is to insert the bolt all the way down. Let's run the first brass through the 30-30 Winchester. And I'm going to insert each bolt and squeeze it up. compared to the bullet plunger, using these little nuts on the bottom help to alleviate the pressure on this press, which is great. All right, so once all of them are gone, I'm out. Then I use this, and we're gonna hammer twice. There it is, a nice reform 357 SIG brass into 8mm. One nut. There you are. It's time consuming, but it's fun. Here's my second. Since I'm using my kitchen counter, I want to alleviate the pressure on it too, so these bolts work fine with this process. All right, let's do a couple more. I want you to notice the difference between the nuts and the bullet plunger. It's very difficult. When you're doing this process at home, try to compare the two, and you will agree with me. Using this little nuts on the bottom makes this process easier and faster. Well, faster, not faster, but a lot easier to your press. One brass drop too did, but here it is, a very nice reform 357 SIG brass into my 3030 Winchester brass. We'll come back with the rest. All right, here's my Dillon 550 setup and how I'm going to process the 357 SIG brass that I just ran through the 3030 Winchester. My step that I noticed that worked best for me is to use the sitting die first. So here's my sitting die. I'm going to run the brass through the sitting die first, and then I'm going to finalize it through my full length sizing die. Let's see if we can see that. So that will be the last step, and everything will fall into my bucket, and I want to show you how it works. This will, as I said earlier, this will minimize the wrinkle process on the brass. And I cannot emphasize as much as don't forget to spray your brass the night before and let it sit for overnight before you run it through this process. It works so much better than wait for 10 minutes, especially in these reforming process, reforming the brass. So I'll show you step by step in a second. All right, let's run through some brass. I do it a couple times. There's a little pressure, but not much. With this process, you can run a few hundred. As of today, I have reformed close to up to 300 pieces. Taking it to the range, shot them, and I was able to reuse my brass, and the reloading process after the brass has been reformed is a lot faster than the initial process. The lube is still in the on the brass. I will show you a different view of the process in a second. Let's run a couple more pieces through the step. You will notice how quick the neck forms. Look at this neck. One more piece from this view. After I get the rhythm going, this process is fast. As long as they don't get stuck. All right. All right. Got 3 more pieces to go. Our next step is going to be to size the brass to the specified size, and I will take you through that process in a second. Here are 100 pieces of 357 SIG brass already transformed into 8mm Nambu pistol. Our next step will be to resize it to the specific length. Here is the dimensions for the brass. The length size for the brass is 0.84 millimeter on a Nambu. And now let's resize the brass to that length. Here's my resizing temporary bench. Well, you know the process, how to resize. Let's check the length. Look at that, 0.840. That's a nice job. All right, I'm going to resize all these 100 pieces, and I'll be back to show you how to reload, how the reloading process takes. After resizing and deburring 100 pieces of converted brass, the next step is to drill a bigger flash hole. When the brass is passed through the 3030 Winchester sizing die, the flash hole gets smaller, and it's a recommended process to drill bigger flash holes. So we'll see the three pieces on the left compared to the other 3 pieces where the flash hole has been drilled. So I do recommend for you to go through that process, and you notice the difference in size between the left and the right. Our next step will be to reload the ammo, the 8mm Nambu ammo, and our Dillon 550 progressive press. All right, the final stage now is to reload 100 rounds of 8mm Nambu pistol. The bullets are from the RCBS 2-cavity mold, 110 grains bullets. I casted these bullets last week, and I powder coated these bullets watching Fortune Cookie 45 videos. I think he's a great source of information, especially for casters and for those who want to powder coat. He's the first step to go and identifying what you need to do. So let's start with reloading. Here's my reloading bench again. Now I have the flare die, and this has already been set up so I can seat the bullet and crimp it. The overall for my reloads are going to be 1.227. That will be the overall for these reloads. All right, let's start. I need to open a little flare on this case. I'm also seating and crimping on the second stage. One stage flare, the other stage seats. I have already primed and powdered in each case. The process now is to flare, put the bullet in, crimp, great thing is also that you can explore another option using a Dillon 350D to reload these pistol rounds. So I hope you have enjoyed my first video and reloading, and also a conversion, my first conversion video, my first reloading video. So for all of you who has watched this completely, I thank you for spending the time with me and having fun. Tomorrow is Sunday, and I'm gonna take 300 rounds and probably shoot 50. I'll take 300 rounds. I know one of my buddies has a Nambu pistol. He's gonna bring his, and we're gonna have fun shooting both of them. So I will show you a different view, or a close-up view of the flaring, seating, and crimping. Alright, this is a close-up view. I'm glad I was able to locate instructions how to do this on the internet, but there was no video showing the process. I thought about using 40 caliber brass, but it was going to be more work, and this looked as the fastest and easy process to load these videos. Well, I hope you enjoy it, and I'll show you the ending product at the end. Here's a close-up view. The seating die, the flaring die. Look at that nice flare. Here's another one, no flare. Put a bullet. See the bullet, flare, one round just dropped, but that's fine. Look at this. Look at that very nice flare. See, without the flare, the bullet won't fit. Alright, I'll show you the end process, the end, for you to see all my Nambu pistol rounds. Hope you enjoy. Again, this is Alex M with my first video in reloading, my first video in reforming brass, and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, leave a message, and I will try to answer all of you back. And next time you see a 8mm Nambu pistol, now you know there's a way that you can reform the brass from 357 SIG to 8mm Nambu. Until next time.